I'm joined with Clive. Some of you might recognize him. He's got a channel, it was quite active like about a year or so ago, but you're kind of reviving it now, I believe. So that's really cool to see. So yeah, just introduce yourself a bit and just explain, what's going on, I guess.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Good to see you all. So my name is Clive Metaverse, formerly Clive Bunkworth. Some of you may actually know me. Some of you guys that follow the Twittery channel. We did a Tesco prank, and we done some other stuff. Speaking too long to people, I think we did, or speaking excessively, where we kind of got people stuck in conversations in Regent's Park and just talked for way too long. So we did that. We also did trying on women's clothes, I believe. So some of you guys might know me from that as well. But yeah, I mean, the Life of Clive channel, we haven't been very active. I've just started Life of Clive Pickup channel. And that channel is going to be more focused on pickup. So lots of infield, lots of tips on how to attract women, how to keep them, how to retain them. Because guys actually overlook that, and we can talk about that a little bit later on. That the actual after sales care once you secure a girl into your life, or you get her back to yours is so important, because otherwise you straight back out to the marketplace looking for new leads. But we can talk about that in a bit. But yeah, that's me. Life of Clive Pickup is going to be a main focus for me, and all of you guys who subscribe to this channel. Presumably you want to learn how to attract hot women, how to build your value as a man. So if you are going to follow, I'll definitely check out LOC. It's called LOC Pickup. But yeah, we met on Regent Street, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So yeah, I was pretty much walking along, and you kind of did like a day game stop on me, and I was a bit flattered at the time, but yeah, I had to tell you, you're not my type. I'm sorry. No, it was it was cool. Yeah, you came up to me because you knew Tusk, and you were heading over to Sweden as well with us lot. And and I didn't really know much about you at the time, but I mean, you're a cool guy and everything, so yeah.
Yeah. Were you? I've never asked you this actually, so it's a good time to ask it on camera. Were you ever creeped out when I came over?
Well, when you no,
were you thinking like, who the fuck is this dude?
Honestly, no, because like, okay, at first, yeah, obviously, okay, there was a bit of like a split second when you're like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? But
Who the fuck is this guy?
But like that would apply to anyone. But no, I mean, the way you approach people in general, like, you've got a shitload of charisma, and like you're a super cool guy, so you come across really well, and that applies. It just that obviously applies to when you're picking up girls or doing day game, but even just in general life situations as well. So yeah, like, yeah, I mean you came across really well, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, because I was a genuine fan of the channel, the Twittery channel.
Oh yeah.
And some of your viewers might not know that channel, but that's kind of where you got started, right? It was more prank oriented.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was a pickup element to it. But I liked that whole comedic value, kind of like in the kind of like That Was Epic and Steven Shapiro, Cody Strong, all those guys out in America that were doing the prank pickup stuff. I found it hilarious, and then it was so good to see someone in the UK doing it, because as far as I was aware, there was no one doing it.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much what's inspired me to do those pranks in the first place. I just like having kind of odd interactions with people, something that's just kind of out of the norm, something that's going to be kind of memorable for them. Even if they're thinking, oh god, that guy's such a weirdo, just to have that effect on people, I find just absolutely fascinating. How people react in kind of weird or just abnormal situations. It's just really interesting. And then obviously, you can combine that stuff with pickup. So back in the day, I did a few kind of pranks involving pickup as well. So like, for example, picking up girls whilst farting, or like picking up girls using the advice given by a previous girl.
I remember that video.
Yeah.
That didn't work out very well, did it?
No, but that was the whole point. Because a lot of it is about there's something kind of like cathartic or interesting just about things fucking up, and just reveling in just absolutely fucking things up.
Yeah, it's fascinating actually, the whole when you ask women for advice on how to get women, the answer that they give you is always kind of a societal norm answer. So in order to, they know what they like, and they know when they meet a guy, they know they're attracted to him, and they're obviously attracted to a bunch of dark triad traits. You know, if a guy has the ability to commit violent acts, but do it in a way that benefits him and those around him, including her, and does it in a controlled and competent fashion, they're attracted to guys like that. And when I mean violence, I don't mean just physically, but I mean socially, knows how to stand up for himself and other people, and how to get his way in the world. They are massively attracted to that, and guys that are valuable and are likely to reject most women. Yet, what they do is they will, if you ask them, you know, how do I attract women, they'll give you the answer that society would give to women, because they're trying to fit in, but two, there's an internal battle in their mind between what they find attractive and what they're supposed to find attractive.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're just kind of repeating what they would tell themselves, like, oh, you should be attracted to this kind of guy, but they're just not. So that's the kind of answer they give. They give normative answers, but on a subconscious level, they know what they like and they know what they're attracted to.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not consciously even aware of that stuff. You know, they wouldn't even be able to kind of verbalize that stuff because it's so deeply ingrained inside of them, just from like a kind of an evolutionary psychology kind of perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's true, and also, it's ingrained in them. It's ingrained in them. But they know on a deep level when they encounter a guy that they like, and what happens is there's a bit of cognitive dissonance there. So they'll like a guy, and he'll have certain dark traits, and he may even be treating them on paper in a way that they shouldn't be treated, but then they'll label him in their head as a good guy. So basically, for most women, if they like a guy, if they find him attractive, even if he's not on paper a good guy, they will put him in the box in their head of he's a good guy, just to balance things out in their mind, because otherwise they have to confront the fact that they're actually attracted to a guy who's not a good guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds a bit dark and cryptic, but we have to, it's like in accounting, you have to reconcile things in your brain. You can't have two things that don't match up, so you have to find a way to.
And you know what's fascinating about that? When you kind of look at it the opposite for guys, right? It's like we have, like, think about it this way, like any single guy should just approach any girl he sees that he finds attractive, but so many don't because of this kind of, well, a million reasons, like mostly down to anxiety, approach anxiety, fear, judgment, rejection, all that stuff. So for guys it's similar, but again it's like completely irrational. Like, why wouldn't you approach that girl when you've got absolutely nothing to lose? But it's like this deeply ingrained sort of fear, which is completely irrational, but nonetheless almost every guy has it, especially at the beginning, especially in the early stages. You know, why wouldn't you approach that girl when you've got nothing to lose?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's hardwired. But
exactly,
you know, if you put it, our DNA was evolved for hunter-gatherer times. You know, we evolved for 40,000 years. It was pre-agriculture. We lived in situations where we were in nomadic tribes that kept moving, and the population of the world was obviously way, way, way lower. You may not ever encounter another tribe in your entire lifetime. So the people you were with, they were your group, and that was it. And if you were ostracized by the group, they would either kill you or you would die because, you know, for example, especially in those times, you're gonna be sick for a percentage of the year, and someone needs to hunt, bring you food and look after you. You know, and you need breeding rights, and ultimately we're designed to breed. So if you're in a tribe of say 30 women, that would be great, wouldn't it? If you're in a tribe of 30 people,
and just you.
Yeah, say 30 people, 15 are women. Probably 10 of those women will either be decrepit because they're old from your perspective. You know, nothing wrong with older women, but I'm just saying, if you're an 18-year-old guy, and you know, or they will be taken. There's no way you can approach a woman who belongs or is in a relationship with the elder of the tribe, because he will just kill you. So you've got maybe 5 women, viable leads to pick from, and there's probably another 4 or 5 guys like you in the tribe, your age, that need to pair up. And so if you fuck it up, that's it. Can you imagine you had 5 sets your whole life, potential leads?
And that's the thing, some guys actually have that, in their social circle. Sometimes some guys will literally just have 5 potential approaches within their social circle their entire life, and if they fuck that up, then they're fucked.
Yeah,
if they don't know about,
Yeah, exactly. You still do get some incels like that nowadays, but you can go on Tinder now. You can go and hit the streets and do some cold approach, but in those days you absolutely could not, and you had 5 leads, and if you got rejected by one because of pre-selection, they'll probably tell the other ones, you know what he did, he's such a creep, I was going to get some water from the river, and he just stood there with a boner and tried to grab me, or he tried to speak to me, and then I rejected him, and then the other girls hear that, they start laughing, and then your value's just gone. And then it might get round to some elders in the tribe, maybe one of them was actually having sex with her, and he's like probably old, and he's probably having sex with all the hot women in the tribe, and he's like, that, we can't have this young guy making a move. And when you're sleeping in a camp, he'll just tell 2 of the younger guys to take you out into the forest and just smash your head in and kill you. And then when everyone in the tribe wakes up in the morning,
even then, best case scenario, you get ostracized from the tribe, and then your survival's compromised anyway, because you're by yourself, and there's safety in numbers.
Exactly.
If you need to go hunt a wild boar or something, you can't do that by yourself. That's why the communities were formed in the first place, because
you
of
need
that.
A fellow pack of human beings to take down a wild boar. Yeah.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, AA anyone? Yeah. Now AA kind of makes sense, why am I shitting it? Even though I live in a city with 10 million people, 5 million women, probably 800,000 hot women running around, why am I shitting it? When I could never burn through those leads? It's because your DNA doesn't know that. Your DNA still thinks you live in the African savannas.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just completely irrational. There's just that irrational side of your brain telling you not to take action, telling you just to stay as you are. Don't disturb anyone. It's just completely irrational. When actually, if you think about the way we live at the moment, we live in a massive metropolis, a massive abundance of opportunities of girls to approach and stuff. Then there's, why wouldn't you approach that attractive girl? Why wouldn't you? And we do still live in a community, but it's with shit tons of people, and 99.9999% of them you don't know, and they don't know you. So even though they might see you do it, even though they might see you approach that girl and judge you for it, they don't give a fuck about you, and you don't give a fuck about them. So that, again, that spotlight effect is completely irrational as well. But from an evolutionary perspective, obviously, there's a reason why that exists, which is, I guess, probably similar to, what you were saying before, really. Judgment of other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we care about what other people think so much because it's so important in the tribe situation. And like you say, we live in a metropolis now, so it doesn't matter, but it still does to our DNA.
Yeah. And that's why you get guys also, I get guys kind of asking me questions about, if I live in a small town or a village or something, how can I approach girls? Well, that's the reality that you face. You face, a much smaller, close-knit community where essentially if you shit on your own doorstep, there is a chance that people are going to start talking about you. You might develop a reputation, and that might impact your social credibility potentially.
Yeah,
I mean that's why approaching girls, doing day game is designed for bigger cities, or at least a place where there's enough transience of people, to the point where you're not worried about having to see people again or approach another girl again. I mean, I've done that before by accident in London, where I've approached girls before. Approached girls again. Sometimes on the same day because I forgot I approached her earlier on in the day. Sometimes separate days because it's been like a few weeks or like even a month or something. I remember one girl in London. This was over like a like a 3-month period or something. Apparently, I approached her like 3 times, like 1 month apart. I think twice on the street and then once in like a bar or club or something. And
Right.
and I had no idea because she just looks like kind of, I guess.
Did she like it? Did she like it?
She not well. She wasn't that receptive. So like I can't remember the first.
Did it turn her on that you kept reapproaching her?
No, the first 2 approaches I don't remember, but I do remember the bar interaction, and she kind of like rolled her eyes a bit, and like she was like, "Oh, this is the 3rd time now that you've approached me." And at the time I was thinking, God, there's no way I've approached this girl 3 times. I mean, okay, there could be a small chance of that, or maybe she's confused me with someone else. but yeah, I mean, the chances of that are quite slim. But even if it does happen, it's like, well, so what? You know, who cares? You know, she gets a nice compliment. I just own it. I own the situation. I just say, well, okay, no worries. You look great. Have a good day. You know, that's literally the worst that can happen. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just shifting that mindset and realizing that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You know, it does matter. I've got to be honest with you. It does matter somewhat if you live in a small town. If you live in a small town or a really small city, and you're doing a cold approach, you do. You know, if me or you were landed there and we wanted to do this sort of thing, and we're not going to come back, it doesn't matter. We can burn the city down. It doesn't really matter. But if you live there, you do need to think about the fact that you could become that guy. You know, there's probably 3 or 4 meaningful Facebook groups in that town or city, and once videos of you harassing people start surfacing on Facebook, and people start sharing images of you, you become that guy. I'm not saying it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of stuff, really. You could just move, or you could just find a way to spin it, but you do need to think about that. And you know, if you're in a smaller town or city, social circle stuff becomes way more important. Social circle stuff should apply everywhere, but you do want to be trying to gain via creating a community and positioning yourself as the or one of the leaders if you're in a small town or city. But like you say, Ed, like in London, you can just literally burn through the city. You never will burn through the city. You can just literally go out there, charge around, and it's very unlikely in the centre of London to see the same person again, you know.
Yeah, very rare. Like what happened to me was just extremely rare, but at that time I was out like almost every weekend, just approaching and filming and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I mean it's still super rare. It's still really really rare. That's literally the only time that's happened to me, and I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of approaches. But yeah. That's an interesting point, actually, that you said about social circle, because you know my opinion about social circle is that it is always the best way of meeting someone, because essentially it's a warm approach. You've got social proof. That's why it's always going to be the best. But for the for the majority of guys, social circle is just not going to yield as good a result as getting good at day game, mainly because the options that you've got are generally going to be limited unless you've got a massive social circle and a massive influx of ability to kind of meet, you know, new girls, friends of friends constantly, which most of the time just isn't the case. Then yeah, cold approach is always going to be a better option, but the caveat obviously is that you do need to get to a decent level with cold approach and also have decent SMV. But then again, that also depends on what kind of girls you're approaching as well, or what kind of girls you're expecting to get quote unquote success from. But yeah, you know, and the thing is with cold approach, you can actually build a social circle from cold approach as well. Cold approach doesn't necessarily always have to be about you know, picking up girls, going on dates, right? It can also just be like, okay, this girl happens to have a boyfriend, well, why don't I stay in touch with her? Maybe she's a really friendly, down-to-earth, cool girl. instead of kind of you don't necessarily have to wait till she becomes single again. Why don't you just become friends with her, and she introduces you to her friends and that kind of thing? You know, there's a million different ways you can kind of steer these interactions. It doesn't always have to be with that end goal of like, oh, I need to get laid with this girl kind of thing. But yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I would say social circle is something you want to be working on long term. But I would change. I wouldn't even call it social circle. I would say increasing your levels of social proof, and that can be done via creating a group of real people that you meet up with, and that group of people could only be 10. It could be 2 or 3 guys and 7 girls that are relatively hot and they know other girls, and then you're going to find you're out with 4, 5, 6 girls every week. And like you say, that the social proof and pre-selection that comes with that, because if you cold approach someone in the street, a woman, and she feels attraction to you, she gives you a number, guys often ask why they wouldn't play. It's because they don't know who the fuck you are. They go away and they go, do you know what, that guy, really fancy him, looks good, talks good, makes me feel attracted to him, I definitely would, but who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah,
because cold approach is the hardest thing.
He could be a complete weirdo. He could be a serial killer.
Yeah, I just don't know.
That's what goes through in their mind. Yeah.
I want to see. There's that, but also I want to see how he interacts in groups, because women love men that's socially dominant. So to get good at cold approach, what you need to do is you need to create pre-selection and social proof without anyone there, and that's a challenge.
Yeah, it's essentially implied pre-selection is one of the biggest things that you can do. Yeah, I mean,
I've got a trick that I use where I'll say, I'll go to a girl and say, hey, what's up, how's it going? So you thought you looked quite interesting. Yeah, what are you up to? And we start talking. She's like, what? And then I'll be like, yeah, look, I'm actually in a rush. I'm going to meet my sister. It's her birthday, and all of her friends are coming out. They insist that I come out. I'm just like, I'm not really up for it, but they're super wild. They're going to want to stay out all night. Or I'll say, I'm actually going to meet my friend. I promised her I'd meet her new boyfriend. She's got this weird thing where she wants me to approve of all of her new boyfriends, but it's risky business, right? Because if he turns out to be total creep, it's my fault, right? She's like, yep. I was like, do you agree? She'd be like, yep. So what you're doing is, it's like, there's women in your life and they all want to be around you. You know, that's and then in her mind she paints this picture, and she's like, yep, you know, she can visualize it. And also, even just when you're seductive, you're charismatic, you're charming, that is, like you say, Ed, implied pre-selection and social proof, because it's like, okay, if he's behaving like that with me and he's making me feel like this, either this is his best performance in life, and every other time he speaks to people he's creepy, or he's having interactions like this regularly. If he's having interactions like this regularly, it implies that he has a social circle, he has a life, he's socially dominant. So what you're doing is game a cold approach, good cold approach, without the ability to prove it in the social environment, as i.e. in a group set or in a bar or with a group of people, is all about implied social value.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, if you have a big Instagram, most guys don't, you know. If you have a big Instagram, that's what it is. It's just, okay, well, why is it that 10,000 women are following him on Instagram?
Yeah. And that's a really, 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 really good point. And the thing is, obviously, when you go into an interaction, it's just you and the girl, so you can't show like overt kind of social proof or pre-selection, right? So it pretty much has to be implied, and I think just one of the most powerful ways you can do that is just by being completely relaxed in the conversation, and just being completely relaxed and having this like not giving a fuck attitude in the presence of a hot girl. Because a lot of the time what happens with a vast majority of guys is that they're not 100% just being themselves. They're kind of like sometimes it's like they're talking really quickly, or they're just trying a bit too, they're focusing a bit too much on the girl and that kind of thing. Whereas when you're prepared to kind of walk away from that hot girl, or just generally not giving a fuck about the outcome, she gets that impression that that you're not fazed by her beauty, that you're used to being in the presence of attractive women. So that's
which also implies that if you're relaxed around hot women, it means you have a lot of hot women around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really tense, a bit nervous, and you've got this like sexually frustrated look on your face, what does that tell her? It tells her that you are not getting laid.
Exactly.
That's creepy.
And a lot of it is done through the body
for
language. A lot of it is done through subcommunication, body language, things like that. You will get judged from that.
Yeah.
Hang on, I think just do my camera again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it can be done or like implied through things like body language. Obviously, how comfortable you are in conversation as well. Are you able to actually make that joke? Because like a lot of guys, they play it safe in the presence of hot girls, either in the street interaction or on a date. They don't kind of escalate in the same way they would with a girl who's perhaps less attractive, because of they're a little bit scared of fucking it up. Whereas actually you need to just not be afraid of fucking up and potentially losing the girl. Because I remember in my first couple of years of day game, I definitely had that issue where if I did manage to go on a date with a really hot girl, I would just be like afraid to like go, push things further, because I was afraid of kind of taking that risk. But actually it's more risky to not take that risk in a way.
So you started like taking your genitalia out in the middle of the date now, is that what you did?
That's my tactic at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go all the way to the 100%, and then I kind of taper down a little bit from there. So I start off the day just with the genitalia reveal, and then it kind of.
It's interesting because it's counterintuitive, but the way it operates is that if you're relaxed around a woman and you're reading preselection and you're saying stuff that are making her aroused, it indicates you're saying stuff that are making other people aroused. And if you're doing the opposite and you're acting nervous, you're acting like you are such a respecter of women, and you just want to be around them and look after them and stuff. Women often find that creepy. It's like you can respect women by just being chill around them, and it's like there's being chill around a woman and being willing to let her know you have a penis, and then there's obviously sexually abusing and harassing women, which we don't want to do. But you have to be confident and comfortable in who you are and be willing to show intent. It's actually more damaging and disrespectful to women to lie to them about why you want to be around them, and just pretend that you're trying to be around them to be their friend and stuff, because that's deceitful and it's disrespectful. It's like if you want to, it's better to show intent and be confident and bold without putting your hands on and groping.
It's really interesting. That's really interesting.
You let her know, and then she'll show you that she's not interested. Either she'll be indirect about it, let you know, or she'll say it, and you have to be perceptive enough to pick up on that and move on to the next option.
Yeah, and that can actually, like, for example, like if I'm on a date with a girl and I'm trying to get her back to my place, and she's a little bit on the fence about it, a lot of the time I just be honest with her and say, like, look, I find you attractive. It would be dishonest of you for me to not invite you back to my place, for example. Because the thing is, a lot. No, but honestly, it's like sometimes I'll say that if the girl is quite logical, because like a lot of guys are just not honest. Because they're afraid to kind of state their intentions with the girl, or like open up to the girl.
May I introduce you?
may I invite you? But the thing is, it's like it's just like a lot of the time, guys. I mean, and I suffered from this in my early years. It's just that they're afraid of kind of pushing things forward because they think it might offend the girl or it's socially unacceptable or whatever, and they just get stuck in that kind of boring zone or the friend zone or whatever, and things don't progress. This is quite an issue, quite a big issue. So yeah, like it's definitely a thing. So yeah. Another thing about implied pre-selection, Instagram obviously helps a lot with that. Because you can convey certain things which you can't necessarily convey in a street interaction, such as the fact that you've got female friends or you've got other friends, you do cool activities, you're a high value guy in other areas. That stuff can be conveyed through Instagram, and that's essentially the value of like a powerful Instagram. It can really help out with that stuff. Whereas with WhatsApp, all you've got is one profile picture and a number and a name. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you want to be presented to that woman, let's say that she decides that she's not interested right now, so she flakes, right? She doesn't reply. That's kind of it, unless she scrolls through her contacts when she's feeling bored, lonely, or horny. And she goes, oh look, there's him, change the picture, it's over. Whereas on Instagram, if she follows you on Instagram, she's then subscribed to your email marketing. So you're constantly posting pictures, stories, reels, and if they're high value enough and they'll be in her feed, she'll keep seeing you, she's exposed to you, and she becomes comfortable with you. But something I always say to my clients is, most guys are afraid of group sets, but group sets are easier when you understand how than doing a solo, because the opportunity to demonstrate social value is way higher.
Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on you approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.